Let's start off with kale, because kale, again, was one of the first things we started growing, and it's something that we actually planted in our garden last year in October and November, and it overwinters. It does fine in Oklahoma. Kale comes from Russia, so it doesn't care about our winters. It does fine with them, and it survives all throughout the winter. Now, it doesn't really produce a lot of leaves starting around December. It pretty much stops, mid-November, depending on when it really gets cold. But and then it kind of goes dormant, and then it comes back alive in February. You can also plant kale in the spring, so we're bumping up to about the end of the time that you can plant kale. But traditionally, right about now is when you're planting kale. It doesn't tolerate heat very well, but it does survive through the summer. It just doesn't taste very good, and it doesn't produce as well. But it's a 2-year plant, so it comes back. It does last through the summer. You can also plant it in the fall. It's a popular time to plant kale as well. You want to talk about how you make kale taste good? Because that was one of the challenges we had in the beginning, was figuring out.
I know. Everybody always laughs. They're like, kale, ew, gross. I feel bad for kale. It gets a really bad rap. But it's actually really good if you grow it. And what we like to do is just mix it up with spinach or with lettuce, and however, and we combine it all into one big, either like taco salad or a chicken salad. We even add kale into like a homemade chicken noodle soup. We add them to stir fries a lot too. They're real tasty.
Another thing I want to mention about kale is that its taste is heavily impacted by the temperature outside. So whenever it gets colder, it gets sweeter. That's how the plant stays alive through the winter, is it replaces the water in the plant with sugar. So that's how it sweetens up. Is our phone doing something?
It's ringing.
Our daughter's trying to FaceTime us. So kale will sweeten up as it gets colder. The adverse is also true, where in the summer it will not taste very good in the heat. So traditionally in the summer we'll switch to other greens, like collard greens typically do a little bit better, but also you can stir fry them, and that helps the taste too. So if they are bitter, you can stir fry, and that'll help.
Stir frying anything just makes it taste better, I feel like.
Another thing about kale is it's really great to grow as a microgreen. So if you haven't heard of that, the idea is that instead of growing a plant all the way to full size, you grow it to about 3 or 4 inches tall, and then you cut it and eat it at that point. And there's a couple reasons behind that. One, it's a really easy way to grow a bunch of nutritious stuff in a small space, because you can sprinkle all those kale seeds in a flat and then grow a bunch in one place and harvest. But also, whenever you eat kale at that plant, you're getting the maximum amount of nutrition out of that plant possible. Because once the plant gets full size, it has the nutrition of the plant spread across everything, right? But when it's that size, it has everything that was within that seed, plus 2 or 3 rounds of photosynthesis. So you've got especially this applies with like sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds are nutritious, but if you take sunflower seeds and sprout them, their nutritional value increases. So the same principle applies to pretty much all these, kale, broccoli. So broccoli is another one too you do as a microgreen. So that's another way that we grow kale as well, as a microgreen. And there's a lot of different varieties of kale. If I go into this varieties tab, you can see that there's all sorts of different types. They all have their own unique flavor to them. So if you've tried kale before and it was only from the grocery store, it may have been a variety you didn't like. This dinosaur kale here, I guess it's the Cinto. This top one is called dinosaur kale. It's another name for it.
Our son likes it better when it's called dinosaur kale too. So.
He likes dinosaurs a lot. And then the white Russian kale is really good too. So I believe Bill actually has some kale for sale here at the Home and Garden Show if you're looking for some inside the greenhouse. But as far as planting kale is concerned, you want to avoid planting it around other plants that are in the same family. So that's broccoli, cauliflower, other plants like that, because they have the same pests. The main pests you're going to find with kale are going to be the cabbage worms and the cabbage butterflies, these white moths here. That's the biggest challenge you're going to have with them. They're easy to control through one of two methods. One is either covering them with insect netting, So you can buy insect netting. I'm sure we have a link to it in here. This floating row covers right here, insect netting. So this stuff you can just lay over the kale, and then that'll keep the bugs out. You can also make a frame of sorts out of like PVC pipe. You can. We have a guide on our YouTube channel that shows how to make these PVC domes. Just Google that or search for that on our channel. But another thing you can do with kale is use this BT is what it's called. I never get it right when I say it. We don't have a link to it here, but BT is this naturally occurring soil bacteria that lives, like I said, it lives in the soil, and whenever caterpillars eat it, it kills them. It's a bacteria that feeds on caterpillars. But it's completely harmless for humans. And you can spray it on your plants, and when the caterpillars eat it, then they digest that and it kills them. So that's something else. Again, it's a completely naturally occurring soil bacteria, so it's not a chemical or anything like that. So yeah, I think that pretty well covers it on kale. Is there anything else we need to say about kale?
No,
Any questions about kale?